we have to solve all the hard problems that other people don't have to, because they normally grow like this, right? They had 10 users, then they have 1,000 users, then they have 100,000 users. Yahoo flips a switch and accidentally you move 10 million people on the first day into something. So we don't get to use anything that's standard. We don't even get to use people's normal servers. We have to write our own. We don't get to use people's PHP. We have to hire the guy that invented PHP to write our own. We don't get to use databases like other people. We have to write our own databases. So we have to do everything and build it to make it scalable in a massive way. And Yahoo, there's about 1 or 2 companies in the world that have even learned how to do this at all. And it's a super complex problem, and it has to be solved in the most elegant way so that the net experience is simple and fun. And that is such a challenge that there's lots of stuff you see on the internet that Yahoo can build overnight. It's just we can't release it because we couldn't possibly get the user experience to a point where Yahoo would say, done, we think that's a great product, and we would send anyone from our homepage to that product. Tens of millions of dollars every year is spent on mail servers. And so when you're doing this type of scalability, you have to be scientists. And science takes more time than just simply sitting down in a room with a couple guys in a garage and coming up with a cool app. We took a couple guys that sat down in the garage and made a cool app, and then we turned it into the world's largest Web 2.0 application. But it took over a year to make that transformation. Actually, it took over 18 months, right, from a time of announced. So it's methodical work, and it's sort of underappreciated, I think. Messenger has 95% of the Vietnamese market. Like, that means every time I produce a product, I have to make sure that it's going to be a home run in Vietnam. We couldn't have the same error margin that mail has. So with real time, where it's the interruption factor is so high, you cannot have spam be out of control, or spam as they say. So we have to control our borders a little bit more closely. If we open up, IM will die tomorrow. Like, if I opened up, you don't think that the guys that are able to interrupt you by email won't switch every system they have to interrupt you by IM? And you'll have to turn your machine off. Like, you'll just be like, I can't even use the internet because I can't get on IM because spam comes in so heavily. So we control our borders, we know who's on our system, and we control very aggressively what they do to make sure that the abuse doesn't happen. If I interrupt with another network, I have to work that same level of coordination, and it takes 2 guys that really know what they're doing to do that. Right? So it helps that Microsoft has done this a couple 100 million times. Jabber's just not an issue because no one's on Jabber. I can get on Jabber and spam every single Jabber user overnight. It's just thankfully there are no users there, so there's no one that bothers. But so Jabber itself, it's not a technical difficulty to create an open IM standard. I could create one tomorrow. And there's lots of others besides Jabber. It's just to what end? You want something that users can use, love, hit up over and over and over again. And in this case, slowly expanding IM to these interops will be beneficial to everyone. Google took Jabber and then played around with it and screwed it with it a little bit. And so XMPP almost, and now they call it Jingle and Ging, I forgot what the name of the other one is. So they are compatible with Jabber, but they actually use a standard that's slightly different. I can actually document it because I almost started working for Google in the same position and decided not to. For example, if I do an interop with AOL, it doesn't mean that they get interop with MSN just because they do an interop with me. Each border is controlled, and we get to decide who gets in and out of the network. So simply because Google has a system where any Jabber person can talk to them, like my old company Gizmo is compatible with Google Talk, that doesn't mean that Gizmo could talk to Yahoo. We would control each one until we know that each player is up to weakest link, right? In this case, weakest link would let, if we had one weak link in the process, all the spam would come in through that one weak link, because those guys are so efficient at finding holes. So I assume Google, being a company of resources, could probably figure out a way to work with us. It's just, there's no volume there. Like, the payoff for us would be so teeny because they don't have any users. Their ComScore shows them at 44,000 GTalk users or something. 44,000, yeah. Like in Messenger, we're number 2, and MSN's bigger, now Windows Live Messenger, but our engagement's 2 to 1 over them. So consumers are 68% approving our product over like 22% for AOL, and I don't know what the number is for MSN, it's smaller. So usually there's some sort of paradox, right? There's guys with water hoses like Microsoft who get to distribute their product on their OS, and then there are guys like us that have to do it over the internet with a different strategy. But that means we have to make a better product to get the usage that we get. Mostly because the effort to block them exceeds the usage they get. The truth is the usage for people like Trillion's usage has grown almost not at all. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they've net shrunk. It's true.
Don't block it.
By the way, the guys in they're Connecticut, 12 guys, super nice guys. I know them. Interesting guys. It just happens that they're in violation of every single. Their entire business model is wrapped around violating terms of service of every single.
Right.
Trillion itself is a massive security risk, hypothetically. You're taking your password and your username, and you're giving it to a company that is 12 guys with no affiliation with any sort of major credible thing. So if, God forbid, Trillion hires one guy that's bad, I have 12 people that just call the Paranoids group here. That's all they do is patrol the fences of Yahoo to make sure I don't make any mistakes. Like, I'm a smart guy, I don't try to make mistakes, but I do all the time, and they catch it right away. Wow, that's a mistake, you can't do that. That's if this were to happen, and this were to happen, and this were to happen, and the sun were up there, hypothetically user information could be lost. And that's why you don't read about Yahoo loses, this, that, or the other. So there's a reason that Trillion is against terms of service. If a user wants to use the Yahoo network and they find a client they prefer better, normally I'm not going to raise such a stink about it. But what I do raise a stink about is I don't want people putting their passwords into companies that they can't necessarily bank on. Vista's like the weather. We don't get to control it. It's going to happen. There's no way to avoid it. That we have the #1 Vista application, according to Microsoft, in terms of coolness, sexiness, is weird. And I'm sure something that the Messenger team there has heard about many times. I believe that Firefox's approach of having the exact same application on every platform, no matter what, is the worst user experience as opposed to the best experience, which is to say each device, each operating system has its own inherent strengths and pluses and minuses. As a Mac user, are you not mildly insulted that Firefox behaves in the slightly clumsy PC way and the some Mac's good stuff, some bad PC stuff? Like, why not just have the best Mac ever, make an incredible platform, and then write the presentation layer, the last mile, as they say, write the last little bit of code exactly for the device you're on. So I could write a really junky, works on everything WAP application, or I could write one native to the BlackBerry like we did for Yahoo Go and the Messenger and the mail clients we have here. They're just awesome. When I joined the Messenger team 18 months ago, we had one product, Messenger, what I call Messenger Classic. Now this year we'll have 6 products. Different platforms. We have the Mac. We have some stuff coming out for the web that's pretty sexy. We have actually a few products coming out for the web that are pretty sexy. We have this one that came out for the web that's super sexy. All these are developed on the same platform. To take off 15 million active users on the internet in Vietnam with 80 million users, that's crazy. Like, it's crazy compared to what people's perception is of Southeast Asia. So you will see products that are more targeted than we've ever done.